he spent the vast majority of his time at a port of entry. That's not where the problem is. We're not seeing all the chaos at the port of entry. We're seeing it between the port of entry.
I worry about Brandon Judd sometimes. I think he's a passionate man. President Biden still did his best to look busy, asking how many people are crossing the border.
I know you have people every day, but I'm trying to get a sense of the flow. The average.
Well, average, I would say 300 to 400.
Correct, yes. And then we have our little peaks where we have that over 1,000 per day, 900 per day. But usually our average is anywhere from 300 to 500, yes, sir.
Oh, that doesn't sound bad at all. So how does the president not have this information already? The crisis has been a slow motion disaster. All of this very predictable. And asking a few basic questions doesn't solve a thing. So did he just go to the border so he can cross that off his to-do list? Well, let's get into it with tonight's party panel. We've got former Trump Advisory Board member and Hoteling Risk Advisors Managing Director Jason Meister is here, along with Democrat strategist, former Biden campaign strategist, and also a man who loves to go south of the border. He wanted the president to go there for a long time.
It's all in my past.
Kevin Walling, he is back, and the host of Undoctrination. It is a wonderful podcast hosted by the glorious Olivia Rondeau. Welcome, one and all. Let's have a good discussion on this and maybe solve some crises at the same time. So, Jason, we've seen this happening for quite some time. Karine Jean-Pierre likes to say, no, the border is secure, the numbers are going down, but in fact, the numbers are higher than they've ever been. So did the president's trip do anything to stem the tide?
No, it's done nothing. Look, Joe Biden inherited the most secure border in U.S. history. He intentionally and maliciously terminated all the protections that were put in place by the previous administration in order to implement his open border policies. And the result has been a humanitarian crisis of biblical proportions. There's been over 4.3 million illegal immigrants that have showed up to the southern border since Joe Biden took office. We've apprehended over 16 million pounds of fentanyl this past year alone that could kill up to 3.3 billion people. And the cartels have turned human trafficking into a $13 billion industry. So if Kevin McCarthy, the new Speaker of the House, and the GOP are serious about holding this president and his administration accountable, in my opinion, they need to impeach Joe Biden on this issue alone.
Well, it is a pretty serious issue, Kevin. I mean, you can't deny that. The president can't deny it. That's why he's there. But what I find to be very curious is he tasked the vice president with solving the border crisis. And if she can't do that, then at least coming up with a few keywords that they can call the root causes. So why wasn't the vice president there with him? And will they ever be honest about what the real root causes are?
Well, Kennedy, it's a good question. Listen, the vice president was with the president in the Roosevelt Room last week. I think that was actually more impactful in terms of what the president announced with the expansion of Title 2042, removing those folks under that law, providing for additional spots for legal migration from those 4 key countries, an additional 300 Border Patrol agents as part of the federal funding bill, and of course the president's visit to El Paso on Sunday. These are all good starting points. I was actually encouraged to see the Texas governor down there with some ideas that he presented to the president. I'm hopeful that the president will respond to those. You have a bipartisan Senate delegation heading to the border tomorrow. Chris Murphy's part of that, among others.
I'm actually more hopeful about that than the president's visit, because they did just sanitize the area. He didn't talk to any migrants. Like, if you want people's story, ask them. They'll tell you about the root causes. They'll tell you what's happening. But, you know, I guess those simple peasants from faraway lands are just too filthy to shake the hands of our fearless leader. So let's talk about this a little bit. Olivia, the president has been there. It's not going to do anything. If, you know, Kevin says it's a starting point, but 2 years into your first term seems like a pretty late start to me.
It is abhorrent. It's a humanitarian crisis, and you're right. They didn't want to talk to the actual migrants. They view them as, I believe that they view them as not even human. It's inhumane. They just clear them out like they don't even matter. And I think that because the answer is so clear, because it's like, please visit the border, secure the border, bring back Title 42, enforce Title 42, enforce deportations, because they won't do simply that, because they know that enough fentanyl to kill the entire population of America is literally coming through the border, they are clearly on some type of payroll. I mean, I'm just going to say, the answer is so clear that if they cut off the stream of migrants coming through the border, if they cut off the stream of drugs and crime coming through the border, then their income source would be cut. I mean, it's true that on both sides of the border, the cartels work with the government to, drug traffic and human traffic, and that's what it is. It's human rights abuse.
Yeah, someone is getting enriched here. And, the big winner in this story, not the president, certainly not the vice president, it's the cartels. Bang up job, federal government.